This is the JBL Flip 6. Now, at first glance, you'd be safe to assume that this is just another redesign with a new huge JBL logo on the front to spice things up. But in reality, there's a lot going on under the JBL logo. Specifically, JBL managed to squeeze in a tweeter on the Flip 6, just like how they did with the JBL Charge 5. And right now, the Charge 5 is my favorite sounding mid-size speaker. So today we're going to check out the JBL Flip 6 and we're going to see if it's worth upgrading if you have the JBL Flip 4 and even the JBL Flip 5. Now, regarding pricing, JBL's Flip series used to retail for $100, and the Flip 5 also used to retail for $100 when it first came out. But now, both the Flip 5 and Flip 6 have a retail price of $130. However, JBL does like to put the Flip 5 on sale for $100, making it feel like you're getting a deal. And I expect them to do the same with the Flip 6. So what I'm saying is, the Flip 5 and Flip 6 are great, and you won't be mad if you get them for $130. But if you can, I'd rather try to get these speakers when they're going for $100. Links down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch shelf down below. I've made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And if you've been watching me for a while, you know I can be very particular. So I'll only set my name on something that I'm really proud of. Now first, let's talk about the design of the speaker. Now besides a new huge JBL logo plastered on the front, which personally I am indifferent about, and the Flip 6 feeling a little denser, basically everything is the same. All of these speakers are relatively the same size. You can easily throw them into your backpack or bike's water bottle holder, which I know a lot of cyclists like to do with these types of speakers. They all have a mostly fabric wrapped body, so they can easily stand up to constant abuse. They're all waterproof, so you don't have to worry about any of these speakers getting wet, but they still have those exposed passive radiators on either side, which you do want to be mindful of. And they all have built-in loops, so you can attach or hang these speakers if you really wanted to. However, there is one subtle design change that I do want to point out about the Flip 6, and that's this speaker now has rubber feet on the bottom. Now, I know this might not seem like a big deal, but thanks to these rubber feet, the Flip 6 no longer shifts around on the table when you're playing music at higher volumes. Whereas that is a major issue with the Flip 5. This thing just loves to shift around at higher volumes, and that's because the speaker has a single offset oval transducer. Now, I know these rubber feet on the Flip 6 isn't a big deal, but I do appreciate the change. However, one change that I do want to point out is that with the Flip 6, you no longer get a carrying case like you do with the Flip 5. Now personally, I never really felt the need for this case because the Flip 5 is just durable on its own, and this case kind of negates the durability and portability of the Flip 5. But I thought I'd point it out for someone who might want this case. But now let's talk about battery life. The Flip 6 has the same 4800 mAh battery as the Flip 5, whereas the Flip 4 has a slightly smaller 3000 mAh battery. But just keep in mind, the Flip 4 has less output than these other two speakers, so it can make do with a slightly smaller battery. Now, all of these speakers have an advertised battery life of 12 hours, but real-world use with the Flip 6 playing at 80% volume, which is a really good listening volume, the speaker's good for about 8 hours of playback time, which is not bad at all, and it's the same as the Flip 5, which is good, just given that the Flip 6 has that extra tweeter to power. Now, when it comes to charging these speakers, the Flip 6 charges via a USB-C port just like the Flip 5, whereas the Flip 4 still charges via a micro USB port. Now, this shouldn't be the main reason for upgrading, but micro USB charging in 2022 can be rather inconvenient. However, something the Flip 4 does have going for it is that it still has an audio jack, whereas these other two speakers don't. Now, personally, I don't really mind not having an audio jack on a speaker of this size, and unfortunately, this is the new norm, but I still feel that these speakers should still have an audio jack just in case. Because unfortunately, you can only use the Flip 6 wirelessly. The USB-C port on this speaker is strictly used for charging. Now, the Flip 6 is using Bluetooth 5.1, but more importantly, it can be connected to two devices at the same time, which is great either if you're a power user and you want to quickly and easily switch from one device to another, or this way, you and a friend can both be DJ. And when it comes to performance, this speaker has zero latency across the board when watching movies or videos on your phone, whether you're using an iPhone or an Android device. But when it comes to audio codecs, the Flip 6 is strictly using SBC, which is pretty standard for JBL. But now, this is where the fun begins. Regarding speaker setups, the Flip 4 has your very standard dual front-mode firing woofer and dual passive radiator setup that shoot out the sides. And when it comes to output, the Flip 4 has an output of 16 watts. Then there's the Flip 5, which has a single front-mode firing oval woofer, which really made some people upset when this speaker first came out. And you've got your dual passive radiators that shoot out the sides again. And the Flip 5 has an output of 20 watts. But then there's the Flip 6. Just like the Flip 5, the Flip 5 has a single front-mode firing oval woofer and your dual passive radiators that shoot out the sides. But this time around, JBL used all of the empty space found on the Flip 5 and threw in a tweeter on the Flip 6. And when it comes to output, the woofer on the Flip 6 is rated at 20 watts and the tweeter is rated at 10 watts. Now, the reason why it's such a big deal that the Flip 6 now has an additional tweeter is because the tweeter handles the highs, whereas the woofer handles the mids and lows. The idea is this is supposed to help with instrument separation and soundstage. But so that you can see for yourself, let me just show you.
A broken glass while I'm thinking in my head. I mind my own, I don't even break a sweat. Oh, this madness is insane. Why you still live in vain? I'm not the one, you're the victim of your own mistakes. It's time to hit the lights under the street lights, under the street lights.
So, like you may have just seen, the woofers on both the Flip 4 and Flip 5 handle everything, whereas with the Flip 6, the woofer handles the mids and lows, and the tweeter handles the highs. And this is the same speaker setup that you'll find on the JBL Charge 5, except a little bigger. And in general, it really does help with instrument separation. But now we're gonna jump into the sound test. All of these speakers are playing at 70% volume, and they're all playing with their stock EQ.
We'll be driving down the state, yeah. Looking around for the next crowd, yeah. Going our own way, trying to find a new route, yeah. We'll be going in circles, trying to find a way, searching for the things we do, yeah. Drop top without a choice, yeah. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise, or will you? I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. Live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping sooner. Yeah, I'm feeling a little crazy. Sat at home being lazy. Wanna travel till I'm 80, flying with you. Wanna take on the world and do something. Would you by my side like it's nothing? Wanna buy you things that you wanted. Wanna find you drop top without a choice, yeah. Hair blow round to the window, singing stupid noise, so will you? I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna dive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. And live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long.
So first, I have to single out the Flip 4 here. If you're thinking about upgrading from the Flip 4 to the Flip 6, I think it's definitely worth it because you'll instantly notice a sound quality improvement. The Flip 4 simply just doesn't get as loud as these other two speakers. So that's why, even though the Flip 4 was playing at 70% volume, its 70% volume just isn't as loud as these other two 70% volumes. But also, both the Flip 5 and Flip 6 have a noticeably better instrument separation than the Flip 4, and they also have more bass. So, like I said, upgrading from the Flip 4 is a no-brainer. However, when it comes to upgrading from the Flip 5 to the Flip 6, it's not as noticeable, but the sound quality improvement is there. The Flip 6 does sound a little more open and has better instrument separation than the Flip 5. But quite honestly, you're only going to notice a difference if you're playing these speakers back to back like I did in this test. However, I did notice the highs on the Flip 6 were more pronounced than the highs on the Flip 5, and that's because the Flip 6 has that new dedicated tweeter. And thanks to the more pronounced highs, the Flip 6 does sound a little louder than the Flip 5. But again, this isn't going to be a super noticeable difference unless you've got these speakers playing back to back. However, one compelling reason as to why you would want to upgrade from the Flip 5 to the Flip 6 sound quality wise is simply because the Flip 6 now has a customizable EQ. Now, there's really no reason as to why the Flip 5 couldn't have an adjustable EQ. JBL could just be arbitrarily saving that feature for the Flip 6 to make you want to upgrade, but I digress. But nonetheless, being able to adjust the EQ on the Flip 6 is nice, and it's something that JBL has really taken a long time to add to their speakers. And personally for me, I like my Flip 6 with the bass raised one click and my treble lowered one click. So overall, you're definitely going to get better sound if you upgrade from the Flip 4 to the Flip 6. The Flip 6 gets way louder, it has better instrument separation, and it has more bass. But if you already have the Flip 5, these sound quality improvements aren't going to be as noticeable. They're there, but you're really going to have to go looking for them. If you have the Flip 5, the only reason you might want to upgrade is because of the adjustable EQ. But now, let's talk about pairing the Flip 6 up to other speakers. Now, thankfully, the Flip 6 is still using JBL Party Boost, which is a big deal because usually JBL's Flip series would usher in a new speaker pairing protocol, forcing you to upgrade. But not this time around. So with the Flip 6, you can pair it up to any other JBL Party Boost speaker, like let's say a JBL Boombox 2, an Extreme 3, a Charge 5, a JBL Flip 5, another JBL Flip 6, or to a JBL Pulse 4. And you can pair up to 100 speakers together, which is obviously overkill. Whereas with the JBL Flip 4, it's using JBL Connect Plus, one of JBL's older speaker pairing protocols, meaning that you can only pair the Flip 4 up to other JBL Connect Plus speakers, like either an original boombox, an Extreme 2, a Charge 4, a Charge 3, a JBL Flip 4, or to a JBL Pulse 3. Now, I know this sucks, but JBL's Party Boost does have significantly better range than JBL Connect Plus, so you're going to be able to cover a much larger area with music. However, it's very important to keep in mind that if you want to get two Flip speakers and get them to play in left and right stereo mode, you're going to need two of the same Flip speakers. Unfortunately, a Flip 6 and Flip 5 will not play in left and right stereo mode. They'll only play in sync. And it's also important to keep in mind that you cannot wirelessly pair a JBL Party Boost speaker to any of JBL's larger Party Box speakers. So, even though there are some limitations to look out for with JBL's Party Boost, in general, JBL's Party Boost is one of the best speaker pairing protocols out there. It's super easy to use, it just works, there's a good amount of speakers to choose from, and for the time being, it looks like JBL's future speakers are also going to be using JBL Party Boost. So with all that being said, the JBL Flip 6 is a solid upgrade, especially when 20-watt speakers are concerned. The new speaker setup on the Flip 6, which consists of a woofer, tweeter, and dual-pass radiators, really does help the speakers sound more open and have better instrument separation. And if you're upgrading from the Flip 4 to the Flip 6, you are going to notice a huge sound quality improvement, both in fidelity and just loudness. You're also going to get extra goodies like USB-C charging and an adjustable EQ. But unfortunately, you are going to have to sacrifice your audio jack. Now, if you're thinking about upgrading from the Flip 5 to the Flip 6, even though there is a sound quality improvement, it's not as drastic when compared to the Flip 4. Personally, I would hold off and wait to see if we get battery life improvement with the Flip 7, but for right now, I'm just happy the Flip 6 is still using Party Boost. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know, I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something that I'm really proud of.